Hey guys, Psych Gaming here, and welcome back to World of Tanks. Today's video we're going to be continuing my tank review series, this time with the 4th episode. We're going to be reviewing the M4 Sherman today, this tank here, and anybody who's even had the slightest interest in World War II will have heard of this tank at some point. If it's not the most well-known tank in this game, it's one of the most. The first time I heard of this tank was probably in something like Call of Duty, most likely, but I started to learn a lot more about this tank when I was playing stuff like Company of Heroes. I've obviously seen this in quite a few films. This is a very well-known tank, and that's one of the reasons why I actually wanted to get it. If you come and have a look in the tech tree here it is. It's a Tier 5 American medium tank, and straight after I got the Panzer IV, that being my first Tier 5 I ever got, I decided I wanted to come for the Sherman, because it was kind of one of the tanks which I knew at the start. Obviously I've learnt a lot more about the tanks in the game by playing it, but this was one of the tanks which I knew about right at the, before I even started, such as, others could be the Tiger or the Panther or something. So this tank is your kind of classic medium tank. It's flanking, pushing up. This isn't a heavy by any stretch of your imagination, and it's not a scout, so it is well classified as being a medium tank. In lower tiered games where you are like top tier, what you want to be doing is you want to be pushing up with other tanks, so heavies, mediums, and then you can do a little bit of flanking, but you kind of want to lay that off when you're top tier, because you'll be able to do quite a lot of damage in a short space of time. However, when you're bottom tier in a game, what you want to be doing is you want to be trying to stay away from the enemy's guns, trying to do a lot of flanking, but make sure you're doing safe flanking, so you know that nobody's going to be in front of you, and you can try and get around and get behind the guy that you're trying to flank. That's the kind of playstyle that this tank actually plays a lot of the time. So anyway, let's get on to the actual stats of this tank. So it's got 460 hit points, and that's with the upgraded turret. If I take the gun off and replace the turret, it looks a lot weirder. It's only got 400, but that's actually average for standard turrets at tier 5. So it's got decent hit points, and it's not a heavy or a light tank. It's a medium tank, so it's not too heavy. It's only 30 tons, and it's got 460 hit points, horsepower pulling it, that's pretty good. This thing is pretty quick. It does accelerate to its max speed as well. 48 kilometers per hour you can pretty much get to that, and you don't need to be going down hills to get to that either. So this thing is pretty damn quick. And if you combine that with its turret traverse speed, you get a very maneuverable, very quick tank, and this thing is very good in those departments. However, when you get to the armor, it kind of starts to lack. This thing is practically wearing paper. So if you're in a tier 5 game, pretty much most things will be able to penetrate you. Tier 3s may have an issue, but anything from tier 4 and above will not have an issue with your armor. So what you want to be doing is using your speed and maneuverability to get behind tanks to try and dodge shots. Your armor is probably the weakest point about this tank. If you're looking for weak points, if you are a tier 3 and trying to fight this thing, suppose machine gun port there. I'm gonna guess that them two viewpoints are weak spots, and don't shoot at the gun mantlet, because that's obviously going to be thicker than the turret armor, which is 62mm on the front. Obviously you can aim for the cupola. I think someone pointed out that to me. And obviously round the sides and back you're probably not going to have too much of an issue anyway. It's only 38 and 38. So if you need to aim for weak spots, they're just there, they're right on the front, but generally you won't have to. This thing is practically wearing paper. Its gun though, that's one of the better features of this tank, because it doesn't have too many downsides. It's a 76mm gun, and it fires at a rate of 14 rounds per minute, which is pretty fast. That's not slow, that's not fast. That's not too fast. Your gun will aim before your next round chambers, so that means you don't have to be waiting for your gun to aim. Its penetration it's not too bad, but it's a little lacking. I can find me bouncing things like Churchill 1s and other heavy tanks, especially tier 6s. You can definitely find problems with that. And if you combine that with its okay damage, it means that if you're going to penetrate, you're going to do a lot of damage, because it's got a decent rate of fire. But if you don't penetrate, you're going to have to try and either get round the sides and rear, because that's what the tank is good at, or you're going to have to aim for weak spots. But if you look at its accuracy, 0.43, that's pretty bad, to be honest. Anything over 4 it's not too brilliant. It's not like howitzer sort of accuracy. If you come and have a look on the howitzer, that actually this thing fires 0.55 accuracy, so it's not too bad, but it's still not brilliant. And then its aim time is also pretty adequate as well. That's not slow on not too fast. Its turret traverse speed is 37, so that's also pretty good. That means it turns its turret at the same speed that it turns the tank itself. You probably won't need to turn the tracks as well as the turret to hit fast-moving targets, which is always a bonus. I mean, all the tanks that I've reviewed so far, well, the last two, have had to do that, so that's a nice change. And then its view range is actually pretty good. Most things, if you come and have a look in the tech tree, the Panzer IV has a 330 meter view range, and the Panzer III-4 has a 320 meter view range. So that's actually, you can stick stuff on to obviously improve that even more, and this thing becomes quite a little spotter. But that's not exactly the playstyle of this tank. Its signal range, I don't have the best radio, but the best radio has 615 meter signal range, which for a tier 9 radio isn't too brilliant. I mean, the ones on the Germans are 710 meters, so it's a little lacking, but again, even I've kind of settled with the Bada, the worst radio, just because I am trying to grind towards probably the Sherman Jumbo, because I am going to jump into the heavy line in Americans. So that's the stats. Let's come on to the equipment. As you can see, I've got crew ventilation on just because it was lying around, and this thing I'm going to keep for a while, so that's on. It doesn't need a tank gun rammer, but that always helps, so you might want to put that on. The gun laying drive is a good idea, just because its aim time is fairly mediocre, but it doesn't need it. Stuff like, if you were going to turn this into a sniping tank, which its accuracy doesn't exactly warrant, but binocular telescope will increase your view range by a lot, and obviously it's not that big of a tank, so a camouflage net wouldn't be a bad idea. However, in comparison to a lot of other tier 5s, this thing is a tall machine, so it mightn't have the best camo rating. As you can see by my crew, they're only at 90%. I haven't even got them to first perk yet, and I did buy them at 75%, so that just kind of shows off how little I've actually used this tank. Anyway, I think I've witted on for long enough now. I've changed up what I said in the last video. I have actually got some replays for this video. I think that I'll probably be able to commentate on them so much better. I was definitely starting to notice that last video that my commentating kind of lacks when I'm doing live commentary. So obviously when I don't have to think about the game, I can just talk. It will be hopefully a lot more interesting, and I'll be able to point out my mistakes, because there are mistakes in what I did in the replays that I've just got. So anyway, I'll just put them on and I'll see you in a minute. Right, so the first replay I'm going to be showing you today is on Sand River. It's a normal battle, and as you can see, I've got a pretty nice camo on my M4 here. Now what I'm actually doing is I'm going to push up with these heavies, and I'm going to try and play a little bit more aggressively. So instead of going in for flanking, I'm actually just going to push a single line. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pushing all the way around here and hopefully to their base. So the good thing about actually having replays, as I said before, is the fact that I can point out things that I do wrong in this replay. So after all, there is actually stuff that I actually do wrong, so I'll be able to point that out when they happen. So what I'm doing here is I'm just playing a little bit cautiously, trying to see if there's anybody going to crest that hill, going to go into the town, but there isn't, so I'm just going to wait for my heavies to catch up with me, but I see the Wolverine. So I'm just trying to see if I can get a shot on him, but no dice. He's trying to just get around probably, and what I do is I'm like, right, I'm going to go get this guy. So I'm heading towards the sand dune there, trying to crest it. Now I do have backup behind me, KV1 spotted over there. Obviously I don't have a shot, so I crest the hill. See the T1 heavy? Take a shot as fast as possible so that I can get back in, but the Wolverine shoots me in the track, and it also takes out my engine. This was a pretty big mistake of me right there. I shouldn't have crested the hill in the first place, but then I decided to repair the track to get back into cover. Now, some may argue that that was the right thing to do, but now I've got a damaged engine for the rest of the game. That kind of negates my whole maneuverability and speed. So I'm trying to take a shot at the Wolverine, no dice, he's behind cover, someone else takes him out. So, again, look how slow this thing is with a damaged engine going up a hill. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to go along this flank with the sand dune to my left, and I'm going to try and push up with my teammates. So I think right about now, yep, I show off the gun depression of the tank, which is one of the things I actually forgot to do in the garage part of the review. It is a very good gun depression on this thing. If the sand dunes were not as tall, I'd be able to crest the hill and do a little bit of like go hull down and manage to take out people without showing the majority of my tank. So that's one good thing about this thing, or another good thing about this tank. So anyway, I was waiting for that SU-85 to come around the corner, but he doesn't, so I decided to push up with the B1. Just going to follow him. Now there is a Hetzer behind me, I believe. Yep, Hetzer. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep pushing up. And we spot two tanks at the same time. I take a pretty inaccurate shot at that SU-85, trying to get him before he got into cover, but instead I take the Covenanter as my target. So the Hetzer shoots him right before I finish him off, and I get my first kill. So I'm going to follow that B1, however he is taking quite a few shots, and we spot the SU-85, who just gets into cover as I start to aim at him. Right, so the B1 goes round that corner, so I'm going to follow him. I don't have any shots, and I'm trying to spot that SU-85, but I just don't have a line of sight on him, so I continue to move. Now we've spotted their artillery, I know that I can probably do quite a bit of damage to that and take it out. So, me and the Hetzer move up to join the B1 against the SU-85. So I'll let the Hetzer go first, make sure he's a bigger target than I am, and then I use him as cover and peek. Take a shot, get back into cover. I realise that he's just shot, and now I'm back out of cover, and I just finish him off. That's my second kill. Now I know the arty's there he is. Now I take a wild shot there to try and get him before that B1 did. There's a stug there, but I miss. Now I take another shot here, penetration, and then the KV1 takes out a decent amount of his health with his howitzer. So I see that the stug is starting to try and flank us. So what I do is, instead of pushing with the rest of the group, I turn back and I try to go and stop him in his tracks. Now, if I had the engine, if the engine wasn't damaged at this point in time, I would have been a lot more effective, but seeing as though it's damaged, I was still pretty slow. Take out that stug trying to flank, and I'm already at 4 kills now. At this point, I was trying to just stay alive. I was actually starting to get a bit nervous that I was going to end up dying, especially when I came into contact with a full health stug. But when he shoots, he misses. He hits the ground in front of me, and he starts to panic. As you can see, there's him spinning around, and he tries to take a shot at the Hetzer to my right. So he ends up dying for taking shots at the wrong target, and I'm just going to continue pushing towards the flag. However, when you look at the map, the only 3 people left are up north. So that means that they're still quite away from the base, but what they're going to do now is they're going to try and come back to stop our cap, because my teammates are going to begin to cap now. So at this point I've got 5 kills. I am definitely trying to get that top gun. All I'm thinking about is top gun, top gun, top gun. So I decide to aim at that Su-85, but I take a blind shot while on the move, and he was on the move, so that was never going to happen. So he has the 3 enemies trying to come and stop our cap. Now they're all on pretty low health, bar one of them. So I know that they're going to try and come this way, so I'm going to try and head up to meet them. This Su-85, I'm like, right, he's mine, he's mine. Take a shot, take aim, but then the KV-1 to my right manages to take him out. Now at this point the T-34 is the last one remaining. I know he's over here. This is me trying to crest the hill. He's being spotted. I tried to get over, but unfortunately the KV-1 takes him out. I think it could have been the Hetzer, though I wasn't particularly paying attention. I think it was the KV-1, to be fair. And so unfortunately for me, I never actually got the top gun this match, but I did get 5 kills, and I did play, or I thought I played reasonably well. I did make a few mistakes in the beginning, and that kind of cost me my effectiveness for the rest of the game. However, it was still a very fun game, so that's the first replay. I suppose I'll show you the second one now. Right, so this time round we're on Arctic region, and again it's a standard battle, but as you can see I've got my other camo on. I think I actually made a mistake right from the very beginning here, just because if you look at how little tanks are going towards this area down here, this was our kind of weak point in the entire game. This is how we ended up doing badly, because if you look at what I just did there, I actually pinged it on the map, but hardly anybody actually takes any notice. But I know for a fact that I'm going to be needed this way, and I know I can do some flanking this way, so this is going to be more demonstration of flanking with this tank. Now again, I am top tier, so it's not exactly the case of, oh, I'm bottom tier, I'm going to do some flanking this time round. It's, I want to do some flanking. So some tanks have been spotted over there, and I'm going to try and get a little bit of a shot here, but the M3 lead just pulls into cover. Now I am going to sit here for a little while and try and wait for them to actually pull out of cover, see if I can get some damage done on them, but I don't think anything actually happens. Now what I ended up doing is just continuing on, and there's some enemies spotted down by the pass near the bottom of the map, which I was talking about earlier. Now there are a lot of tanks this way, and now instead of going right with the rest of the team, because I know for a fact all the enemies are going that way, I'm going to go left. Now luckily these heavies behind us stay kind of up there, and then I think this medium pushes down, and I don't get any sight on these because I still think the T1 Heavy and the M3 Lee are still behind them rocks, so I'm like, right, I'll try and take them out. However, I just did a quick sweep there and I didn't find any of them. So then the T1 Heavy is spotted on the map, so I decide, right, I'm going to push up. But I'm a little bit cautious because I don't want to take too many hits. So I finally grow a pair of balls and continue. There's me trying to keep looking forward at the same time. Now at this point, the sort of thing that's crossing my mind is artillery. There is one arty on this game, so I know for a fact he's going to be to the left of me. Now I could have continued to that base and perhaps taken him out, but I know for a fact that I could have done more damage if I went right. So there's me looking left to try and see if I can spot the arty, because at least if I spotted him I could maybe take him out, but I didn't get any sight on that one. And here we are. This is why flanking is so useful. M3 Lee dead. And now I switch targets to the T-34 because he's got a lot less health. I can deal with him a lot quicker, and nobody else can actually have a line of sight on this guy. So I just take him out, and then I move on to the French heavy tank. I'm not going to say that many letters and numbers. So he realises I'm here, starts to turn his turret, and I'm trying to back away. He does take half my health out with one shot, and I know at this point that I've got to try and take him out as quickly as possible, which happens. So I'm on 3 kills just from a little flanking maneuver, and there was the arty shooting at us. So I saw the T1 Heavy wasn't there because I didn't kill him, so I knew he'd moved forward, but I hadn't actually seen where he'd gone. So I'm trying to push up. I thought he was there, he wasn't. So I continue on. I probably should have pushed to their base, perhaps taken out their arty, but at this point we're starting to get capped. So I know that I need to try and push towards the base and try to reset the cap. my mistake, the T-34 actually followed me round, but didn't get any of the kills because I was first, so maybe he should have just kept pushing up, but he probably would have died if he'd done that. So I know for a fact that there's still people at the base, but the T1 Heavy has just been spotted and they've stopped capping. So here's me trying to be a little bit of a douche and trying to kill steal. So I'm waiting for somebody else to put another shot into him, and I do this for quite a while because I am trying to get as many kills as possible, and nothing ends up happening. So I'm like, right, I'm just going to continue, I'm just going to kill him, I need to get back to base. So there's him dead, 4 kills already. Now, I think this, don't expect this from replays. I'm not always going to be showing brilliant games, it just so happens that 2 games right after each other I managed to get 4 and 5 kills. So at this point I'm like, go, 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 go. Now I don't know where the T-34 went, he probably should have continued on with me, but he didn't. So I can see that cap rising, 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 and I think someone resets it a little bit. Now I missed the M4, but he misses me. I think he's got either the stock or the derp on it. So I shoot him, but it doesn't reset, and I'm not looking at the cap, and I'm just like, right, gotta kill this guy, gotta kill this guy. And the clip actually ends here. I'm going to pause it before it actually finishes. We end up pretty much in this position. I actually think to myself, as the game ends, why can't I shoot? But that was the case where I got all the kills on the team. Now, nobody else actually did much, and I only managed to get the kills from flanking. Now, that was a very good game for me. However, we did lose, and none of our team actually did much. So overall, I suppose it could be classed as a bad game, but that's how flanking can be done in this machine. So that's you can't really do this, especially when your engine's not damaged, like in the last game. But this guy probably would have died because he's got less health than me, only by a smidgen, only by about 60. But I had the drop on him, and I think he's got the worst gun. So anyway, I suppose I'll just cut back to the garage and end this video right here. Right, so guys, unfortunately we have came to the end of the video. This has been the review on the M4 Sherman. If you've enjoyed, please remember to tell me down below, as if you think that I should be doing post commentaries during the gameplay half of the video rather than live commentaries, remember to tell me that as well. To be honest, I'm probably going to be doing that anyway, seeing as though it takes a lot of the stress off the gameplay half of the video, and it allows for me to make my commentaries a lot more productive and a lot more meaningful. It allows for you to probably learn a lot more, seeing as they'll be able to point out what I'm doing wrong. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be uploading a video on Friday because I don't have the means to upload on, or to record on Thursday and Friday, so I'm having to make 2 videos today on Wednesday. So unfortunately I won't have enough time to make a third, and kind of the patience to make a third, because this does take quite a long time. So if I don't bring out a video on Friday, it's just I haven't had enough time, and I will see you in 3 weeks after that. So anyway guys, I'll see you later. I've been Psych Gaming. Catch you in the next one.